Well, good evening and welcome to this edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is co-host Dennis Brown, and we are joined by two former NFL players in Mark McMillan and Fred Barnett. Dennis, as we know, growing up in Bermuda, I don't know if these gentlemen would know, but we only had two channels back then, and NFL Monday Night Football, NFL on CBS on Sundays. Those things were big, huge, and believe it or not, in Bermuda, we have a huge fan following of several teams of the NFL in Bermuda, and I believe the Philadelphia Eagles have a fan club here. I know they have quite a few fans, especially after they won the Super Bowl a few years ago. They all came out the woodwork, so some of them didn't wear green for a long time, but they were able to dust off those jerseys. And I know, Dennis, you're a Giants fan.
Oh yeah, thank you. I told Fred a couple of weeks ago that I'm in the same conference, NFC East, and I've won 4 Super Bowls to their 1. So
you won 4? You won 4?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What position was you playing? What position were you playing? You said you won 4? Were you the quarterback?
He's a fan.
I've seen my team in 4 Super Bowls.
Okay.
He was the one who hurted Bill Parcells. But gentlemen, I mean, we all see the end result when guys make it to the NFL. But take us through those struggling periods, especially high school, college, into that draft. Once the draft happens, then comes a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. A lot of people don't realize what the challenges are for a professional athlete, especially in an American sport such as the NFL. So Fred, what was that experience like going from the college ranks into that draft, getting drafted, and then before you even stepped on the practice field for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oh, it was very stressful, but at the same time, too, as a college football player, you want to play in the NFL, and you just want any opportunity that you can get. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of teams that had talked to me before the draft, and I didn't even know I was going to the Eagles. No one really talked to me from the Eagles, and I got the surprising call, of course, from them in the 3rd round. And once you go from, a college player to an NFL player, everything just goes to another level, And fortunately for me, for guys like Mac, we were able to, adjust to the bar that was raised. And, of course, coming from high school to college and from college to pro, it just rises. Everybody's faster, everybody's bigger, everybody's stronger. So you have to make not only a physical adjustment, not only did I have to be faster, I had to be stronger. Not only did I have to have those attributes, I had to be smarter. When you're talking about the NFL, you're not talking about, drawing up plays in the sand or like we do in the backyard. It's getting in the playbook, knowing exactly what you need to do, and having the ability to do it.
Mm. And Mark, for you as a college football player, trying to Dennis, we all know if we go to college, we're doing soccer or football. We don't have to study so many different plays. We just have to go through it. Where you guys have playbooks, plus you have to do school work. How challenging is it or how challenging was it for you, Mark, to balance those two? Because you still had to go out there and run the routes, do the things that's required, all those things, and still manage that school life.
It was fun for me, as an athlete. You grow up, you want to be either an NBA player, you want to be a professional football player. So you grow up, you go to Pop Warner, you go to high school, you go to college, and you're so close to making it to the National Football League that, you prepare your mind. And, it's just a mindset thing. And I think that's what separates a lot of guys from making it and not making it. It's a mindset. It's a commitment. Obviously, with a lot of prayer and God on my side, I was able to, have that opportunity to play for the Philadelphia Eagles and other teams as well. But I took the junior college route. I only played 1 year of high school football. I was a track guy, so I wasn't even thinking about football because I was like 130 pounds in high school, So I saw guys that was, getting hammered out there. I was like, there's no way I'm about to go out there and let these dudes hammer me. So I went to JUCO for 2 years. I ran track, played football there at Glendale in California and got a scholarship to the University of Alabama. And, that was a big culture shock to me. But in the same mindset, I was like, this is the best of the best. And if I'm able to, hang with these guys and do the right things and juggle school and you're playing in front of 90 and 100,000, you're on TV every week. So the pressure, a lot of people say, well, when you get to the Eagles, were you nervous? I was nervous about, like Fred said, the speed. These guys are grown men. They got bills. They got, it's a lot of pressure at that aspect. But as far as playing the game, I've been ready. I was mentally ready. I was like, I am not going home. I'm making this football team. And, I'm going to do everything that I can. I'm going to study my playbook. I'm going to respect the game. I'm going to respect my opponents. I'm going to respect the players in the locker room because those guys helped me out. And I always tell the story, Fred Barnett is a huge example of why I made the league. Every time Fred went up, I was making sure that I wanted to go against the best. Fred was the best in the league. He was the best receiver we had. I said, if I can just hang with him at some point and get better, then I know there's not too many other receivers in the National Football League with his caliber. So he sharpened my tools every day in practice, man. He beat me up like a little kid in training camp, smacking me upside the head. And, people were like, man, why you keep going with Fred? I was like, because I want some more. He's the best. He's the best receiver. So if I can sharpen my skills and hone in on that, and obviously playing with Eric Allen, and there were so many great players that we had on that team, man. I just fit the mold, and things just worked out. And you probably can see some clips when I made a play. Fred Barnett was like jumping on the sideline, waving a towel. He was always talking to me in my ear. I can still hear him when we're playing the Cowboys or something. He's like, "Lil Mac, watch out for this route." He was always talking, always engaged. So, man, Fred was a blast to play with.
Dennis, back in the day, the NFC East was one of the largest, if not the biggest, in the NFL. Especially in the NFC.
Cowboys, Redskins, and Philly, and
he was guaranteed a Super Bowl appearance by one of those teams.
Exactly.
So good, Dennis.
Yeah, question to Fred.
Sure.
Picked in the third round. Because one thing I like to watch now on Prime Video is a lot of documentaries about NFL teams, and I've looked at Cowboys, Arizona. I haven't seen one on Philly yet, but like Earl said, what boggles my mind is the behind the scenes stuff. Just during draft day and before the draft day. So who were you? Because now I see how the teams call the players and let the players know, we pick you and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was surprised when you said you never had a phone call or you didn't communicate with Philly. Who did you think you were going to at that time?
Well, actually, the Jets actually told me that they were going to draft me.
Oh,
so I was just kind of. So I was waiting on a call from the Jets, and interestingly, Mac, you went to the combine, correct?
I didn't get invited to the combine. No.
You didn't get invited to the combine. Well, see, I think the combine put me in a position to be drafted third round or higher because I thought I was going to go higher. The Jets actually told me they were going to draft me second round, but I came out of college. First of all, Mac, I didn't even know that you played 1 year of high school because I played 1 year of high school. I played just 1 year of high school. I managed to get a one scholarship offer, one full scholarship offer to Arkansas State, which was a wishbone team. And our wishbone team is a team that runs the ball like 90% of the time.
Wow.
And because that was my only scholarship, I just made up my mind to be like, look, I have to just catch every pass that they throw to me because I'm not going to get too many. And 4 years, I dropped 5 passes. And, I just did what I had to do. So I got, back to your question, I got invited to the combine, and I was in the top 25 coming out that year. I mean, so I'm standing beside guys, like a Mike Bellamy, guys that once our game was over Saturday, I was watching these guys, playing from Illinois and West Virginia, these highly ranked college teams. So I'm watching all these guys, and I get, of course, invited to the combine, which is a big camp where all of the individual players come from that play individual positions, and they just grade all the players, and all of the teams are there to see the guys who they're interested in. And you go in ranked at a certain level, and based on how you do, you come out ranked at a level. So I came in the top 25, and that was great for me. I mean, being from a 1AA team, from a wishbone team, 1AA conference rather, from a wishbone team, being in the top 25 college receivers coming out. And after I left the combine, I was in the top 10, which really kind of put me up there. And that's when, everybody started just kind of in my ear, we're going to take you. You look good, all the smoke and mirrors, so to speak. But it was an interesting time because, of course, I was back at school. I was at Arkansas State, and my my parents were there, and I knew I would get drafted. And I was just sitting there by the phone watching the draft on television. And interestingly, a couple of buddies of mine called me, and I'm thinking it's a team. And I'm like, stop calling. Stop calling. And I'm picking up the phone like, hello, it's Fred Barnett. They're like, hey, did you get drafted? And I'm like, and the Eagles finally called, and I was in Philadelphia in a couple of days. I actually drove from my uncle met me in Arkansas, and we drove up to Philly in 2 days. And I just like Lil Mac said, I was ready. I was nervous as heck, but it was that nervous that wouldn't back down. It was that nervousness that was like, oh, I'm up for the challenge. And coming from the background that I came from, with the experience, the lack of experience I had, which was basically 5 years of organized football before I played pro football. I didn't play but 5 years of organized football. So, I wasn't nervous about that, but I was just so, in awe, just being in front of these guys that I watched on television, the Reggie Whites, of course, Randall Cunningham, who was my quarterback, and Jerome Brown, Seth Joyner, all these guys who I would watch on Sundays. I'm standing right here in the huddle with them, and I'm sitting in the locker room with them. And, it didn't take, just like Lil Mac, it didn't take long to fit in because you really got challenged during training camp, and I can say this to Mac. I tell you what, I saw something in you, Mac, when I saw you on the field. And I took it upon myself to challenge you as much as I could. And I can say this boy, hey, this guy got under my skin a couple of times. But at the same time too, I knew that if I would push you, that you'd be better, you'd be a better player. And you can't do that to every player. And he responded very well. Of course, he played a number of years in the league, was one of the best in the league. And that's what it's really all about, because I got pushed. Coming in, there were guys who saw, the greatness in me, or saw what the ability that I had, and they pushed me. And at times it was uncomfortable, but I understood what I was going through, and I knew that it would make me better. But all in all, it was what a great opportunity. Of course, something that I've always dreamed of. Even when I wasn't playing in high school, I used to dream about playing, in the NFL. And once I got the opportunity to do that, although the opportunity wasn't smooth, I still made the best of it.
And Mac, you got a commercial?
Go ahead. We can let Mac go. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I could call you Mac now. So Mac, you are unique, right? Because I'm reading your story today, right? You are very unique, right? You are 5'7" cornerback going up against guys the size of the height of Fred. Like, so you go up against the Jerry Rices and these guys, and tell us what it was like, the challenge for you, because I read something when you came to training camp. You finally got picked. You came to the training camp. Training camp, and the preacher Reggie White told you something. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I'll never forget that.
Okay, so tell everybody what Reggie White told you when you came into that facility with all your suitcases and so on.
Yeah, like I said, I came from Alabama. I had 2 suitcases full. I had a wool jacket. I had 1 jacket in Alabama. You know, you always have to dress up on Saturday. You know, Coach Gene Stallings always made sure we were dressed up on game day. So I had that 1 jacket, and I walk in the left locker room, and you know, there's Reggie White. We called him Big Doggy. He said, "Whose little kid is this in our locker room?" And, you know, he was a minister, and obviously, you know, I had great respect for my guy. But my mentality, man, I like I said, I was there to make the team. So I said some stuff that I can't say on your show.
Yeah, we thought he had got lost.
Wow.
I can't say on your show, but you know, I took that to heart, and you know, I didn't care who it was. You know, I was not going to go out easy, and you know, when I came, I think I was like number 7 on the depth chart. You know, I got the guy, they drafted a punter before me. His name was Pumpy Tutors. He was a punter that they drafted before me. Pumpy Tutors. I would never forget that. And it's just walking in the locker room, and you know, the guys. I knew guys were looking at me because of my size. You know, obviously I played in the Southeastern Conference for 2 years, so I was up to the challenge. But I went over those guys in the locker room, and it was a job. And, you know, we had some guys that was drafted higher than me at my same position, guys that were way more experienced than me. That was lockers was next to mine. And, you know, I'm battling with these guys, and they were going out partying, and, you know, they were like, "Hey, Rook, come on out." I was like, "No. I am studying my playbook." And, you know, even, you know, Eric Allen was holding out, and guys were telling me the wrong plays, the wrong coverages. It was real grimy. And, you know, until Eric Allen came in, he didn't have any worries about nobody taking his position. He was the best in the game. And I was telling him, I was like, "Dude, what coverage are we in?" And he used to tell me a coverage. I was like, "Well, that ain't what the next guy told me." He's like, "Bruh, they know you're a threat to their job. They're not going to tell you what you're supposed to be doing." Whoa. And that was a lesson I learned on the fly, you know, just being a rookie. Like, you know, it's a job and it's a business. And guys know that, you know, you're coming in to take their position. And why am I going to help this guy out if he's going to take my money out of my pocket or food off my table? You know, that's one reason I never really took to rookies. You know, I didn't want to get too close to those guys because I knew, you know, once you have a couple of years in the league, who's going to get cut and who's going to stay. And that's the sad part about it, because you know guys like, man, he ain't going to make it. Had a great camp, great preseason, but you know the numbers like,
number.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with 2 former NFL players. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seen this?
This month, John Barrett & Son bring us a premium thirst quencher from North Carolina, the Blue Ultra Purified Water. Many other bottled waters use reverse osmosis to reach an acceptable level of purity. Le Bleu uses a 5-step purification process, which includes fractional vapor compression, distillation, and ozonation, assuring purity and a unique, appealing flavor. Consumer testimony repeatedly praises the taste of Le Bleu compared to the other brands, and this, along with superior purity, makes Le Bleu a must-try. Lynn knows. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Take us through what it was like to be in the changing room upon your arrivals with the likes of Randall Cunningham, Reggie White, because back then we always had a quote unquote megastar on the offense and then a megastar led on the defense, and everybody knew Reggie White, a household name, just took over things on the defensive side. So we got Mac. You told us about your first experience with Reggie, but how much did he also help you as you got into the team and helped you to grow with the team?
Oh, well, he used to get at the quarterback all the time, and we didn't have to cover too long. So, when it's second or third down, we know Reggie White was going to somehow get to the quarterback or disrupt the quarterback. But we were a good group. Obviously, that was a year that Jerome Brown passed away. So it was like I didn't really know Jerome like that. I met him in training camp for 3 or 4 days, but just the energy that he had those 3 or 4 days, and the way these guys talked about, playing with Jerome, just in the locker room, challenging these guys to be better on and off the field. And Reggie White was that guy that we knew at some particular time he was going to make a big time play. And, I can't really say that he was just a superstar on our defense, because our defense was loaded with guys, so many guys. You talk Clyde Simmons was on the other side. B&E, Byron Evans was our linebacker, who a lot of people don't really give him enough credit, but he was our quarterback on our defense. Like, he called the signals to get everybody lined up. So, you had Eric Allen, Wes Hopkins, Andre Waters, William Thomas. We had so many guys, Seth Joyner on that defensive side of the ball. So it wasn't just like one star player. Everybody in their minds thought that they could make a play at any particular time. And that was just the way it was. It wasn't like, all the praises go to just one person.
Right.
In the huddle, it was all like, if it's third down, everybody was like, I'm going to make the play. It wasn't like who's going to make a play. It was like, I'm going to make the play. And that was the mentality we had going out there. And if you had some clips, if you go Google Andre Waters or Wes Hopkins and see some of the clips that those guys and hits they used to lay on people, man.
we can hear those because the mics were right next to the field. You could hear those kids.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
It was. I recall. Andre Waters used to always say when we played against the Cowboys, he hated the Cowboys, and I didn't like the Cowboys either. And I'm be honest, I still don't like the Cowboys, but but they used to always run inside routes, a lot of inside routes, and Andre used to always tell Mike Irvin, he said, "Hey, you come across the middle, either you're going to get going to sleep or I'm going to sleep." He said, "But somebody going to sleep," and he said, "And I don't care about knocking myself out." And Mike was always looking great. He's like, "Man, you crazy?" But if you look at the film, the Cowboys didn't run too many inside routes when those guys were back there playing safety.
Whoa.
Dennis?
And Fred, so what was that transition like for you coming from I believe Arkansas State wasn't a real big university. What was that transition for you coming from the university you attended. Now you're playing in front of, like Max said, 90 to 100,000 people every week. What was that transition like?
I tell you what, it was unbelievable because I wasn't like Mac. Mac played in front of more people in college than he played in front of it pro. Because
Yes, Alabama.
Alabama is the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
But Arkansas State, it was like a flag football game when we played. But it was an interesting transition. As I mentioned earlier, it was, the bar was definitely raised. And just the tempo of the warm up, I'm like, oh my goodness, we're full speed warming up. I kind of like to ease into it, but the mentality that you had, just like Mike said, it's a job, and you're there to work. You're there to make yourself better, to make your teammates better. I can remember my first year, my rookie year, after I caught a few passes here and there, they were kind of impressed. So they started moving me around, and I started to feel a little comfortable, started to build a little confidence, and here I was, an outside receiver, a burner on the outside. And now they, want to see me in the slot position. So it just kind of gave me confidence that they really believed in me. And I can remember just going over the plays and just knowing what defenses that everybody was that they were running. And just being to some degree proud of myself that I, got in my playbook, and there were times when I would line up, my coach would ask me, "What's the coverage?" and I would scream it out, and he's like, "Great job." I remember one particular time I lined up in slot, and this was like probably the second week in practice as a rookie, and I was started to move around on the field. And when this happened, it really let me know the tempo and the speed and the dedication that professionals have. Because when I lined up in the slot, the cornerback didn't come over, so I figured it wasn't man coverage because he would have followed me over. And they put Seth Joyner on me. But it was one free safety back. So I'm like, this is man coverage. What's going on? So I'm literally licking my chops because I have a corner route. And that's about 10 yards down the field. I give a fake inside and run to the corner. So I'm like, I am getting ready to just make a highlight right here. Because this linebacker, outside linebacker, Seth's a big guy. Seth's like 6'3", like 235, 240. Big guy, but he can run. But I'm just licking my chops right now. I'm about to run a textbook corner route right now. It's about to be a video encyclopedia of what a corner route looks like. So I'm telling you, it took about the way it all unfolded. Of course, it was a matter of seconds, but the way I thought about it and how relaxed I was and the speed that I was at, I'm like, it seemed like it took 20 minutes because I was talking to I talked to myself during my routes because I'm like, he's on the inside, he's on that. I need to do this, I need to do that. So we line up and it's man coverage, and I'm like, let's go. So Seth, he has a slightly inside coverage, so that lets me know he wants me to get an outside release so he can trail me. So I step him down inside and he steps inside. I'm like, perfect. Welcome to the party. So I'm upfield, full speed. Now, mind you, I'm running a 4.443. And I get to about 12 yards, and I give a head fake to the inside and plant my inside foot, and I'm looking. And I promise you, I'm like, where is this ball? And I'm running, and I'm like, what's going on? And I turn around, and Seth is wrong. Seth, as we're running, he said, "You thought you were open to it, didn't you?" Like, oh my God, how can you keep up with me? But plays like that, first of all, like Max said, it was great for us as an offense because we knew we were going against the best defense in the entire league. Of course, we didn't win the Super Bowl, but we're talking, Mac, 20 1991 to 93, 94. It was the top defense in the league across the board. Sacks, interceptions, everything, time of possession, everything. So my transition, coming from Arkansas State was really, I really had to raise the bar. And I was up for the challenge, of course, and it got to a point to where, practicing hard was a natural thing to do. It became a habit. It wasn't a burden for me. Of course, Lil Max said it well. It was a job, and at the same time too, I knew that I had the responsibility, to be an example, even as a rookie, because I played early. I played as a rookie, so I kind of took that leadership role even as a rookie, and wanting to be successful. And wanted to kind of lay out the perimeters of, hey, this is how you do it, and this is how you get better. I can remember a couple of times when we, just in practice, and there are a couple of defensive backs was like, hey, slow down, and I'm like, I can't slow down. This is, I'm eating here. This is where I live. This is my livelihood. I can't go back home to my family and say, hey, look, I took a day off, and. We're not getting paid this week. So I can't do that, So the mentality part for me was bigger than the physical part. I did have to make some adjustment physically, but I think that was kind of an easy transition for me. I was when you're playing pro football, you stay in shape almost the whole season, not the whole season, but the whole year. Even during the off season, you're still just kind of working out. You give yourself a little rest. But I think the mental part of it, getting hit by Andre Waters and Wes Hoppin when we were running live drills, it's like, if you can come away, alive after that, you can play against anybody. So, the transition was real. It was a real transition. And, I was fortunate to be able to, just kind of fit right into that Philly mode. And we, that's one thing we also haven't talked about yet. We were different kind of people in Philadelphia. we weren't pretty boys, although we were handsome, but we weren't pretty boys. But we played with guys that we had dirt under our nails, man. And you don't fight a guy with dirt on his nails. You're talking about the Broad Street bullies, man. That's a true testament to who, especially the defense was.
I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you guys had the number one defense across the board in 91 through 94. But explain. I know it takes a team effort to win the championship. Everybody wants to win a Super Bowl, and you guys had such a unique team. Where did it go wrong those seasons that prevented you guys from actually being crowned champions?
I would say offense. I would say offense, and
I was being nice, Fred. I was being nice.
I'd say offense. I'll be honest. These guys. I think it was 93. Teams average, I think, 13 points a game on us. That's nothing.
Whoa.
That's nothing. And, God bless my offensive lineman, but we struggled there a little bit. We didn't struggle too much with the wide receivers. But, we had our ups and downs. We went to, of course, Buddy Ryan was there my first year. Buddy got fired after my first year. Rich Kotite, who was our offensive coordinator, he was there. He got fired 4 years later. And now I'm with Ray Rhodes. So I had three different head coaches in 6 years while I was there.
Right.
So when you have a turnaround like that, you don't build a continuity, you don't build the unison. And I think if we could have did what the defense did, if we could have did what they did as a team, as a defensive unit, if we could have did that as a team, we definitely could have gone further than we've gone. we went to I think we played New Orleans Saints in the first round, and beat them in the first round down in New Orleans that year. The year that we went to the playoffs, and then I think we went to Dallas and lost against Dallas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that defense was everything, and I think that if we could have did a little more than what we did offensively, we would have at least gone a lot further than we went in the few years that they were leading the helm as a defense in the entire league.
I watched a 30 for 30 program I think about a year ago during the pandemic, and they were doing Buddy Riot and some of the things he was doing with the Eagles before he got fired and so forth. Very interesting because you learn a lot of stuff, especially from a coaching standpoint, from behind the scenes. Decisions are made, the times that they get there. They want to be there before the players get there. They're leaving after the players because they have to be the ones to make those tough decisions, and you want a group of people around you that think like you and you know, you all want the best for the team, but you got to know that at some point in time, you got to say bye to a player, and that's not always an easy thing. So we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with two former NFL players from the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll be right back.
The history of everyday use of spices extends back thousands of years into antiquity. Since 1976, the Frontier Natural Foods Co-op has been bringing a wide range of exciting and authentic flavors to the table. A comprehensive range of ancient traditional herbs and spices produced organically and sustainably. The results are good news for the environment and more robust, fragrant essential oils in these natural seasonings. This month, we're featuring Frontier Natural Products, at least 95% organic salt-free lemon pepper. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, you know, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
And welcome back. Dennis?
Yeah, question for Mac. So that transition we talked about with Fred, so how demanding is it? Because like I said, I look at a lot of these documentaries. You're coming from college now, you're traveling from city to city. Sometimes you don't see your family for a couple of weeks or whatever. And so how demanding is the travel, and where does mental toughness come into when you're away from home for a week to 10 days, away from your family, you know, playing your trade? How demanding is the travel, and also how is mental toughness come into it as well?
I would say the travel wasn't, like I said, you know, coming from Alabama, you know, we traveled well, and you know, we flew great. You know, we had a great training table. You know, everything was laid out for me to go into the National Football League. So it wasn't too demanding of, you know, traveling, playing in front of, you know, big crowds, or, you know, the mental aspect from it. Like I said, it was really easy, and a lot of people like, man, you're crazy. It's got to be more than that. But playing under Coach Gene Stallings, who was a coach in the National Football League for a number of years, our defensive back coach, he coached many pros from the University of Clemson. We had an all-star coaching staff, former NFL coaches. So every day we're around pretty much an NFL atmosphere and NFL coaches who knew what to expect and what, our work ethic, being on time, studying your playbook, just being mentally locked in, mentally focused. And then obviously going to Philadelphia, with a demanding city that didn't put up with mediocre, so you had that aspect. I would say the pressure from the fan base of living up to the, it's a hard city, and those people, pay hard-earned money to watch us play. And, as a player, I always thought like, man, there's some little kid that's probably coming to the game, probably heard about this little kid from Alabama playing for the Eagles, and he wants to see if it's really true that a guy 5'7", 147 pounds can play in the National Football League. And I always took to the field every time, knowing that, man, there's some person or there's some family that paid a lot of money to see us come out here and play a game that we love, we're mentally and physically prepared for. And I never wanted to cheat the fans, especially the fans in Philadelphia. I was always energetic, always exciting. I talked a lot of trash. Guys hated playing against me because I talked so much. And, I just loved the game of football. And, playing in front of that crowd and that atmosphere and playing for my brothers, who I know battled just as hard as I did during the week. They're not seeing their families. We're in the locker room, just trying to win a football game. And, the transition was pretty cool and easy for me because I had a lot of veteran guys on that team that helped me become a better pro.
Dennis, one of the important things we've seen how much technology has gone into recovery. Now back in the day, what was some of the things, Fred and Mark, you guys had to do after games just to be ready to go training? Because nowadays teams have so much equipment, so many different ways of getting guys ready, but that wasn't around when you guys were playing.
Hey, we had an ice tub and a hot tub. That was it.
I would say we had better training. We had better training care at the University of Alabama than I did with the Philadelphia Eagles.
We had an ice tub and a hot tub and a shower the size of a sauna. Hey, we had to draw numbers to shower.
Whoa.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. But you know what? We had a great trainer, Otho Davis, who is, basically a Hall of Fame trainer. God bless his soul. He passed away a few years ago, about 10 years ago. But he was one of the best in the league. Of course, there was always injuries, and but in the early '90s, you really didn't have too many options. We have to get a massage every day, of course. And as I mentioned, ice tub and hot tub. And we had stim units. We had these little portable stim units to stick on your muscles and then turn it up and shock everything back in place.
Mm-hmm.
But now. I mean, I know, Mac, you can attest to it. Going into a facility now, it's state-of-the-art stuff. I mean, and not only, is there equipment to help you heal or get better, when you have an injury. They're on diets. They're on there's certain things certain players can eat so they would maintain their weight. I mean, when we did road trips, we on the plane and guys got buckets of Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's like, it was just a different world back then, man. And with what they got today, and even from the standpoint of what the Players Association has put in place about how much practice time they can get. And they can't. I mean, we would practice 3 times a day in some days. And we're talking 90 degrees. We had 3-a-days,
Yeah.
3 practices in one day. And one of those practices, we will be live hitting as if it was a real game. And, you know, some of the practice that we had, some of the times that we had, they wouldn't even go near, you know, some of the stuff that we did. And let's not even talk about the concussions, you know, and what we call dings. You know, I got a ding. What day is it? I don't know, but I'll figure it out in the next 20 minutes.
Whoa.
That's a concussion.
For real.
Take 2 weeks off.
For real.
Instead of taking a couple of plays off.
Yeah. Dennis is interesting. He said the contraption that helped the muscles twitch. That became famous when Emmitt Smith pulled his hamstring in a playoff game, and all week that's all they showed him walking around with this contraption on his hamstring, and he played I think they won the Super Bowl that year as well. But they showed him with this contraption on everywhere he went. And I was like, how does this isn't normal? I thought he was faking, but to hear you say, you know, you had those things to help those muscles, I don't know how Dennis, I don't know how these guys would have got out of bed on Monday.
Amazing. Because even reading up on Mac between 1992 and 1995, he didn't miss a game.
Jeez.
So that tells me he was a very resilient football player. You know what I mean? 5'7", 162 pounds or 40 something pounds.
I wish I was 160. I wish I was.
And you're not missing a game. You know what I mean? Seeing like both of you guys are very resilient. You know, in your NFL career. So, how important is that? Because and then sometimes you play on a Sunday, and then you got to turn around. Did you guys play on Thursdays as well, like they do today?
Yeah.
So how is that turnaround right there, like from Sunday to Thursday instead of Sunday to Sunday? Anybody?
Like I said, it was just a job. It was just something we had to do. You know, you didn't think about it like, oh my gosh, we only got 2 or 3 days to recover. It was like, okay, well, you got to get your body right, you got to get your mind right, and we got to go out here and win a football game. And, you know, it's not like high school, you're like, okay, you know, we lost the game, or college, you lose the game. But in the National Football League, everything's on tape. And, you know, you're going to be held accountable by your peers in that meeting room. And, you know, the last thing you want to do is disappoint your teammates with lackluster play. You don't want that red dot. You know, we had Bud Carson was our defensive coordinator. And, you know, if you get that red dot put on you, you know you did something wrong. And you're going to have, you know, 15 to 20 other guys who's busting their tail, you know, pissed off at you. And, you know, that was one thing about our defense, man. We held each other accountable. You couldn't have thin skin. You know, you had to make the plays, or she wasn't going to be on the field. And, you know, guys nowadays, like Fred said, man, you can take a couple of games. You take a couple games off now. You know, back then it was like, man, you can't even take a playoff because you know somebody else was going to take your job. And now these guys are getting paid, and they should be getting, you know, paid this kind of money. You know, I'm happy for these guys to get that kind of money because we know this game doesn't last long, and it's a brutal physical game. Yeah. And, you know, for these guys, a lot of you see fans like, oh my gosh, he's not worth this money. Well, you go suit up and you go out there and you let somebody pound you for 60 minutes. Come back and tell me if it's worth that, you know, those millions of dollars that these guys put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. Like you said, you're away from your family. You know, so it's a lot of stuff that goes into playing. Just on Sundays, everybody sees the end product, but Monday through Thursday, man, it's a lot of politics. There's guys coming in every Monday or Tuesday trying out for your position. You know, they're always trying to upgrade and see who we can bring in to be better. And I know me particularly, they were drafting DBs, second round, first round every year. And I was telling them every year, you guys are wasting your money drafting these guys because they ain't getting my job.
Whoa.
Just to piggyback off that question that you asked, Dennis, you know, transitioning from a Sunday game to a Thursday game. Of course, you know, if you play a game Sunday, you're beat up. and you're talking the next 3 days, you're getting ready to play another game. Well, you know what? The body is as strong as the mind allows it to be. And I think that's when the mental part sets in, that, you have to train yourself to think, hey, I have another game, and it's no different than when you're in training camp and it's 95 degrees, and you're running and you got 3 practices and your body is just dog tired. But if you're thinking positive in your mind, your body responds. And I think it's easier to, of course, now to play from Sunday on Sunday and then on Thursday. But when we played, it was a task. It was a task, and we've had a few times where we went from a Sunday game, a hard Sunday game, to a just as hard as on Thursday. Playing against someone. So you definitely have to be mentally prepared, because you're going to go through, exactly what you went through on Thursday. What you went through on Sunday, rather, on 4 days later. So it was tough, but it happens every day, and as Mike said, it's like, we as long as everybody on the same page and we know we have a job to do, and we don't take plays off in practice, so we definitely are taking games off, so, it's really about, at that point, going out and being the best you can be as an individual and doing whatever needs to be done to help your team win.
A question for both. Go ahead.
Okay, let me ask this question there. Yeah, you can jump right back in. Going from 90 degrees preseason to the ice ages in November, December, how do you adjust? Because, Mac, as you said, you were in Arizona, so, you probably got some snow flurries, but nothing nowhere near what you were getting in Philadelphia. So what was that first season like in those conditions?
I grew up in California, so I was around the beaches and, Hollywood, and, then I go to the University of Alabama.
That white stuff falling wasn't sand.
Yeah, it was swamps and alligators in Alabama, and, obviously, you go to Philadelphia, and, September is nice, and October, and then November and December, I'm like, first of all, I wasn't making that much money, so I couldn't afford a nice jacket. But it gets really cold, especially in that stadium, the old Veteran Stadium we used to play in.
Yeah, man,
we had some really cold games. But like Fred said, man, it's a mentality, and you can't let the weather break you, because that opponent on the other side of the field, he doesn't care. He's trying to make you look bad, and it's just the weak do not survive in that league. You cannot have a weak mind and survive in the National Football League. I don't care how talented you are, or how fast you are, or how strong, or how many times you can lift 200 pounds. If you're not mentally strong, that game will eat you alive.
And a question for both of you guys, because one of the questions I was going to ask was about playing in extreme weather. What were some crazy stadiums that you didn't really like to play in? I wouldn't say like to play in, but you had challenges with the weather, especially around January, December, January.
Well, for me, it was Buffalo.
Woo!
You're talking basically Canada.
Yeah.
So, for me, it was Buffalo. I remember playing a couple games in Buffalo, and I'm like, they just may cancel this game. And like, nah, they ain't cancel this game. But it was very, very cold in Buffalo. I mean, and the ball was the ball felt like a brick. And each time the turf, they had turf there, and the turf felt like you're running around on concrete. And those conditions, of course, you do a lot of running, and of course, Mac, you have to come up and make tackles.
Whoa!
But you don't throw the ball that much, and then when you do throw the ball and you do catch it, your hand you just felt like you caught a ball of fire, because your hands are like burning and you're trying to stay warm. But for me, even when it was cold, the ideal weather for me was like 30s. And I got a quick education, because the first time I played in a very cold game, I think it was in Philadelphia. So I come out all bundled up. I got on sleeves, and they're like, dude, You need to take those sleeves off. I'm like, man, you're crazy. It's freezing. So what I didn't realize, see, I didn't play in too many cold games at Arkansas State. So I didn't realize, of course, the body gives off so much heat.
Yes.
So after about 2 series, I'm like coming out of all this stuff. So which is why
Whoa.
I think a lot of fans see guys in very cold weather, 20 degrees, they don't have on any shirts. You're like, they have to be freezing. They're not, because their bodies are giving off so much heat. And it just balances it to about 40 degrees for us. So I learned that very quick. You know, there were times when I didn't even have time to pull my shoulder pads off, and I just cut my sleeves off because it was I was sweating, profusely sweating, you know, under my sleeves, even when it was 20 degrees, because I'm literally, my body's constantly moving.
Whoa.
But 45, I would say, you know, 45 to 30 to 45 degrees is like ideal for me. And I can, in the coolness of the air kind of opens your lungs up, and I can run longer, I can run faster. I feel like I run faster in you know, when it's a little cooler.
And Mac, what was the challenge?
We weren't coming out of the
not here. Mac, what was the challenge for you?
I don't think you guys got to worry about the cold weather when y'all.
No.
Oh, Mac, you would be surprised, Mac.
Dampness.
And Mac, there are times when it's like 60 and everybody's like, "Oh, it's cold." I'm like, "What?" You should feel, man.
It is cold.
It's cold. I'm like, dude, it's a picnic out there. What are you talking about?
And Mac, what were some other challenges for you?
Like I said, I just can't say it enough. You know, playing in Alabama, you know, it was cold in Tennessee. It was cold in Nashville when we played Vanderbilt. You know, it was cold in Georgia when we played the Georgia Bulldogs. It was cold in Alabama and Tuscaloosa. So I played in some cold games, but obviously, you know, Philadelphia is a different cold. And then I go to Kansas City, and that's a whole nother different kind of cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in there.
Got real cold in Kansas City, and you know, we just kind of use that to our advantage, especially in Philadelphia with the turf that we had to play on. You know, not the players didn't always have to worry about us trying to smack them, but the turf we were playing on was some of probably the worst conditions any athlete should have to play on. But that was our home field, and that's all we knew.
You were sharing it with the Phillies, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, we were with the Phillies, and you know, Fred being on the outside, me being on the outside, and I kind of got. I knew the scenes in the stadium. I knew the house in the stadium, so I knew when guys were lining up in certain situations on the route. I was like, "Well, he ain't gonna run that one because he ain't gonna get good traction on that little hollow turf."
Whoa!
So you know, we kind of use that to our advantage. But you know, playing in cold games in Pittsburgh, you know, it's just I liked playing in the cold. You know, it's not freezing cold, but like Fred said, man, it's just something about a crisp game that you're coming out and it's 30, it's 40. The fans are excited. You know, playing defense, nobody liked you anyway. So booing us, playing on the road, it didn't matter. You know, playing at home was an advantage, but you know, just playing in the cold was just always something special about a cold game. And you know, when it was cold, every game mattered because it was toward the end of the season.
So tell us a play that you were involved in that you would remember for the rest of your life and the reason behind it. Anyone?
I would say probably my first career interception, getting my first start playing against the Seattle Seahawks on the road. I think it was probably like week 8 or 9 when I finally got an opportunity to start my first game. And, you know, it was a really tough game when we were down there in Seattle. We were battling tough. I think we probably won in overtime or something like that. And, you know, then get my first career interception. You know, I would say that's probably the highlight of my career. It was just exciting. I was like, wow, you know, I made a play. You know, it's like I was excited. Like, man, I know the guys are going to give me high five. I'm going to get accepted, you know. But I would say my first career interception in Seattle was probably the highlight.
Fred?
I was at the most fans would say the Buffalo play where I had a 95-yard touchdown pass, but that's really not the play. I think the play that really kind of set the tone for me and just put me in the mindset of understanding that I was where I needed to be. My rookie year, we were playing the Washington Redskins. And of course, Washington had a Hall of Fame cornerback, Darrell Green. And I don't remember exactly what quarter it was, but I had a go route against Darrell Green. And I blew by him and caught a touchdown, but my one of the offensive linemen held, so it was a penalty. But let me tell you something, that play, I kind of shocked myself because, you know, and trust me, I had confidence. I really believed in myself, but I dove for the ball. And when I hit the ground and I saw that I had it, I was like, wow, I just did. And when I got up, you know, I just kind of held the ball up, getting ready to spike it. And I'm looking at the referee, and the referee like, oh, there's a penalty. I looked in the crowd, and I could see everybody looking at me like, and I could really feel like this ambience of the crowd was just like, what? This rookie just went by Darrell Green and just literally, like, you know, straight toasted him. And there's some true blue fans that really remember that. And I've been asked a couple of times, and they'll say, Fred, you remember when you ran this go route against Darrell Green? And the whole stadium just went silent. And I was like, yes. A lot of people don't remember that because, of course, it was a penalty. You know, once you get a penalty, even when it's a great play, it's like people don't remember it. But that was the play that really just kind of like, you know, made me settle in. Like, hey, you know what? I can do that. I'm good. I'm good.
Now, mind you, Dennis and Earl, Darrell Green was a world-class sprinter.
Yeah, I remember Darrell Green.
Darrell Green could have been on the Olympic team. That's how fast Darrell Green was.
Yeah.
You know, he beat Carl Lewis in the 100 meters. So that goes to show the kind of speed and accomplishment that, you know, Fred felt. You know, it's like, man, this is one of the fastest guys in the world, one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. And all of a sudden you score on him, and I'm sure his confidence probably went through the roof. Like,
for sure.
It's on now. Like, let's go.
Yeah, for sure.
Well.
Yeah. Any final questions, Dennis?
Yeah, so I often look at how, like, our current guys go from college to NFL, the transition of now you're making no money, now you're making money. How was that for you guys? Like, to now you're going from a college guy where you're not supposed to make money, but we know some college guys make money. How is it now that you this is your lifestyle, this is your breadwinner? Because we know that some young professional athletes, now they have a lot of money. Now you're going to buy 10 cars and 8 houses. And, you know, how was that for you guys? I mean, I know you weren't making as much as these guys are making now, but how was that for you guys now to be in that professional realm?
Well, for me, you know, I didn't mention, but I of course, I grew up in Mississippi, and of course went to Arkansas State and on to Philadelphia, and on to making, you know, pretty decent money. And then later in my career, being I think it's like a top 12, my last contract. But you know, for me, I was fortunate to be able to be with an agent that was kind of on top of me and gave me the right advice. To some degree, I was fortunate to be able to have the right mindset and understood how to be humble, understood, you know, where I came from, you know, understood. I never wanted to put myself in a position where everybody was looking at me. So I wouldn't go out and buy the flashy cars. Unfortunately, it wasn't my personality, you know, to go out and do certain things that a lot of guys do. You know, and I don't knock those guys. It's just who I was. And, you know, it helped me out along the way. So it put me in a position to, you know, make the right choices and, you know, come out, you know, successfully. I mean, when I retired, a lot of people don't know this. When the Dolphins, I was with the Dolphins for 2 years, my last 2 years. And when the Dolphins released me, the Chiefs called me. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm done. Cause, I felt like mentally, although physically, I think my mentally and physically, it was kind of balanced, but it wasn't all there. But I felt I really could have built it back up. But I was just mentally like broken. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It was just that it was time. And, and everybody gets to that point of where it's time. And, I just didn't want to, put myself through it mentally and put myself through it physically. I did have a couple of injuries. I had a couple of knee surgeries, in my 8 years, and I was able to come back, fully recover and still enjoy, playing the game. But at the same time too, as Mac mentioned, a lot of people really don't understand how tough it is. It's a gruesome game. It's a very, very tough game. And it just as tough as it is physically, it's tough mentally as well. So, for me, I was in a good position because I had good advice. I had good people around me.
And my last question to him, or to both guys. Yeah. So the one for Mac is different from the one for Fred. So the one for Fred would be, what advice would you give to any professional athlete to perform to the optimal levels from beginning to end? The question for Mac is advice to, because we experienced this, because I used to play soccer here in Bermuda, national team and stuff like that. What advice would you give to that the short guy, right? Because some short guys are really classy, like Messi and these guys like that. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to that guy who, because we got a situation in Bermuda where I heard a coach tell a guy in the national team that he's too small, and he's one of our best players in Bermuda. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to the short guy to get to the next level? So that's two questions for both of you. Fred, advice for the guy who's coming into the professional arena. What advice would you give? And Mac, about encouraging these short guys to get in there?
Well, I would say, anyone who's coming to a professional arena is to, number one, work as hard as you can. Number two, I would say number one, be honest with yourself. And what I mean by that is that if you've done all you could do to make yourself better, and only you know that, only you know if you're going as hard as you can go, and if you cheat yourself, you'll cheat your team. And if you cheat your team, you lose. And I took pride, and I know Mac was the same way. We took pride in being the best we could be as individual players, which put us in a position to be leaders for those who were watching us. So the one big thing that I would say to an individual coming from, say, an amateur to a professional level is strive to be a leader. And if you're striving to be a leader, that means you're leading by example. You're not gonna be running half speed if you're striving to be a leader. You're gonna be up front. I can remember when I first got drafted, there were guys there, of course, before me. I mean, Chris Carter was there. Chris Carter was there, who's a Hall of Fame player. Chris Carter was at the Eagles. And I can remember, when lining up for practice and we're doing routes, I jump in front of him. He's like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "I'm getting ready to run a route." And that's the mentality I had. I'm first. And that necessarily wasn't a selfish thing. It was that, hey, I am the guy that everybody should depend on. So, put yourself mentally and physically in a position that your teammate would look at you and say, "Hey, you're our guy. What do we do next?" I was always the type of guy. I started all 8 years when I played. My 8 years in the league, I was a starter every year because I had a leadership mentality. And I was the guy who said, like, "Look, hey, follow me." And although I was saying it, I was showing it as well. and it's about showing it, and it's about saying it.
Mac?
I was, always, I still train kids and, from all ages, from youth kids, coach high school kids, train college kids as well. You guys probably just saw Devin Allen, who's an Olympic, hurdler, the last two Olympics. He just got signed by the Philadelphia Eagles 2 weeks ago. So I've been watching this young man from a youth to his days at Oregon. And, he came in town last week, and the first thing he said, "Hey, coach, can we get some work?" And, just knowing this kid from his youth days just goes to show me, like, man, I'm doing something right, just not X's and O's. This young man trusts me enough to know that he's getting ready to try out for a National Football League that he's never played in the National Football League. He's only played in college. Obviously, he's fast as all outdoors, but the mental part is what we talk about this game. It's like, you're going to do well, you're going to catch balls, you're going to be fast, but the mental part of this game is totally different from, running track. You got 11 guys coming at you trying to take your head off rather than you just trying to jump over, a couple of hurdles, in 10 seconds. And, just being able to see that and seeing young men on TV today that a lot of coaches said, hey, this guy's too small, he's not going to do it. He doesn't have the size, he doesn't have the weight. But for me, man, it's all about a mentality. And, I just took that mentality and used my God-given talent to maximize everything I had. I didn't want to leave anything on the table to go home after practice and be like, man, I should have went harder. I couldn't. I would be cheating my teammates, and I would be cheating my mom and my brothers and all those coaches who drove me to practice and helped me and poured into me. I had a whole city on my back, a whole state of California on my back. Like, man, Lil Mac has made it to the league. And I knew every Sunday or Monday night or Thursday, they were going to be tuned into the TV to watch me play. And I always made sure, man, like I said, I was real conscious about my movements, who I hung around with, what I did, what I said. Still to this day, I have a great following. I have a great fan base still in Philadelphia and Kansas City because I carried myself the right way. I didn't never cheat the fans. I didn't disrespect anybody. This culture today, man, it's a whole different vibe. Everything is run by social media and look what I got and me. But at the end of the day, man, it's about your family. When you wake up in the morning, when you're brushing your teeth and you looking at that person in the mirror, you have to feel good about that person that you're looking at. And, it doesn't matter how many houses you got or how many cars you got, because at the end of the day, man, it's not about the material things. It's more about your self-wealth, your mental health, especially nowadays with our cyberbullying going on. It's just a lot of stuff that's going on in this community, in this world, in this country as a whole. We just need to take a look at ourselves and just be happy, live life, help one another out. People are so selfish nowadays. It's crazy. If I had, a shirt on my back and somebody needed it, I'm going to give that person the shirt off my back. Just the way I was raised from my grandparents to my mom, and just playing a team sport, you just kind of you that never leaves you. Playing a team sport, it never leaves you. You're always in like team mode. Whatever task you have, you're going to go at that task 100%. And with my new spice line, Grill and McMillan, I have spices and barbecue sauce. I do it from scratch. And now I'm online. I'm in Ace Hardware stores, and everybody's like, "How did you?" I was like, "I tackle this business like I tackle myself playing in the National Football League. Can't take a day off. I know somebody else is out there making some more spices, so I got to beat that guy."
Last thing, Earl.
Yeah.
I met Fred, I want to say about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And for someone who was a great professional athlete, one of the things that took to me right away, the guy is humble, a very humble human being. And that really impressed me in the first time I talked to him. Like confidence, but a humble guy. And the same thing is with Mac. Like, you guys seem very, very, very humble, thankful for where you are. Your family means a lot to you guys, and to Mac. Fred's going to be talking to you real soon about coming to Bermuda, because we've got some things coming up, a lot of things coming up.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, we got a lot of things coming up in Bermuda.
Yeah, we do.
And
bring the spices when you come.
Yeah, bring these spices for us.
Because I get the spices. I know Fred's got the cigars and the bourbon. Fred hit me up this morning and he said, "Hey, can you be on the show?" And immediately, without question, he's like, "Do you have WhatsApp?" I was like, "No." I downloaded the WhatsApp app. I was like, "Man, when my guy calls, I got to make sure I support my guys, man, because he's always been there for me." And like you said, man, we didn't win we didn't win a Super Bowl, but what we did do is we built a relationship that lasts way past our playing, that we can sit back, enjoy each other's success, see our kids grow up, have fun, because, we lost a lot of teammates, a lot of guys that's not here. So, man, we're not promised tomorrow. So we just got to live today and enjoy it. And, man, if I ever get over to Bermuda, I got my shorts, suntan lotion on. I'm ready, baby.
Better get ready, bye.
Get ready, bye.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you very, very much for joining us on a walk down memory lane. Hope we brought back some memories for you guys, reminiscing about your days. And we look forward to seeing you on our shores, Mac and Fred. Hopefully I get a chance to bump into you sometime soon.
Okay? And when I see you next time, I know who I'm looking at now.
That's right. Enjoy your night.
All right, guys.
Right.
Thank you.